everybody, welcome to the stream. Glad to see you guys here today. Today we are going to be talking about spawn prevention, mob proofing. This is something that people ask me about on a regular basis, even players that have been in the game for a long time. Still have questions about this at times, and I want to give a shout out to my Patreon, Raquel, who had some questions about this and wanted me to do some specific information on it. I've covered it in stream here and there when I've been working on it, but we're going to dedicate time to it today to make sure that all of your bases are good and safe whenever you want them to be. Yay, that'll be good. Hi everybody that's here already. Hey Adele, good to see you. Glad you got electricity back. Hi Erica, how are you? Kia ora, I hope I'm saying it right. Hey Whisper, greetings. How are you today? Good to see you. Hi MSG. How are you doing? Hi Kyle. Lots of people chatting already today. I thought I saw Sarah. Hi Sarah, there she is. Hey Vinny, how are you? Well done, yay! Good. Okay, so I'm at a nice little base location that doesn't have spawn prevention. This is just kind of like, I'm not going to say it's a basic base. It's a nice little base. Got a little house here, and we have some boars tamed. And so these are things that we want to keep safe, right? And the biggest danger to them is, of course, mobs. So let's look over specifically how to do spawn prevention and how to do it well and correctly so that you don't have any big surprises coming up. And yeah. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, and you don't have to do this, I'm going to do this mainly because I'm doing tutorial today. I'm going to go into my settings, and I'm going to look at my graphics. I'm going to turn my vegetation quality low, just because it makes it easier to see things. So that's the main reason that I'm doing that. Hey, thanks for dropping links, MSG. I appreciate it. Hi, Sam. New to the game and new sub. Welcome. Yay. Welcome to the channel, Sam. Glad to have you here. And if y'all have questions along the way, just go ahead and throw them out there. I'm going to be getting to probably most of them. But I'm sure things will come up that I may not think of on the spot. So, the purpose of doing spawn prevention is to stop mobs being in your area, and you can also do it in a way to stop anything from spawning in during a raid as well, because that's when we definitely get the most damage, especially depending on what level that you're at. Now, this base area is out in the open. Some people like to put a moat around their base. And there's two different ways that you can go about this. You can do complete spawn prevention with or without a moat. If you don't have a moat, then you have to do more spawn prevention. So some people think that spawn prevention takes a long time. I also think that digging a moat takes a long time. So it kind of depends on which way you want to go, but either one, both will work. So if you do decide to build a moat around your house, just as a quick little note, I don't know if I have a quick tip on this or if it was a separate tutorial about, I think it was a separate tutorial about how to dig straight lines that you can look. But basically, if you look at your marker on the mini map, you can see when you're facing north and south, when you're facing east and west. Unfortunately, in the patch today, they moved our icon above other icons, so it'll be easier to find ourselves. That'll be good. So the lines that you dig are going to go north and south and east and west. So that might be something that you consider when you're setting up your base location of like, I think about it in terms of like, which way am I going to face my front door and that kind of thing. Especially if I'm going to have a moat. Because if you face the front of your building this way, and then you end up having to have a moat running right in front of it, you can't get it exactly off to the side in a straight line the way that you want. It can get kind of icky looking. So just something to think about in terms of planning. I don't think I'm going to bother with a moat right now. The thing with a moat is if you dig a moat, then you don't have to take your spawn prevention out as far away from your build because a lot of things can't get past the moat. Some things can, but not everything can. So it prevents a lot of things from getting in your base anyway. So you want to start at an edge of your property. Hey Landon, thanks for subbing. Welcome to the channel. But moats are sexy. That's funny. I think moats are a little bit divisive because some people love them and some people do not. Some people think they're ugly. I've gone both ways. I mean, depending on the situation, I guess. Yeah, it could go either way. They definitely have their uses, that's for sure. And some people just feel more secure having it there too. Okay, so either way, you want to start at an edge. So let's come up here to the water's edge. And I'm going to get to how to deal with an edge on water as well. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out a workbench. Now, I strongly recommend that you use workbenches to do your spawn prevention. We're not going to stick with workbenches everywhere and have workbenches sitting all over the place because that's just not an attractive look for a base. But there's an advantage of using the workbench when you're setting out your spawn prevention, because if I set down a workbench right here by the water and then I pull out a build piece, I like to use the wood pole because it doesn't obstruct my vision a lot and it doesn't take a lot of wood to carry it around. See, I can see the circle around the workbench. That's on the other one. If I come over here, I can see the circle around the workbench. Anything inside that circle is spawn prevented. And there are quite a few different items in the game that will prevent spawning, and there's a list of them in the description of this video. Moats can look good. That's true. You can. Just need good drawbridges. Amen. We need some good drawbridges. I mean, there are ways to make drawbridges, but having a real one would be amazing. So I'm going to stand with my back to this first workbench, and I'm going to point my character on my mini-map due north. And I'm going to walk until it tells me I'm outside of the range. And then I'm going to switch over and I'm going to put down another workbench. Now, when I did this, I didn't go to the very edge of where I already had coverage. I want my circles to overlap because it's a circle. And so if you try to get to the very edge of it before you place another one, then when you get in between four, you could have a little hole right here in the middle. And all it takes is one little hole for anything to spawn in, including a raid. So I am going to do this again. I'm gonna try and keep... I'm looking at my mini map, and I'm gonna try to stay in a straight line going due north as much as I can. And basically what I'm gonna be doing is I'm making a grid. Put another one. And then once I go as far north as I want to go, then I'm going to turn east or west, and I'm going to make another row. Here, put this one down. It's not letting me. I'm going to flatten a spot. No, really, flatten a spot. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to come close to this one. I'm going to look at my mini map. I'm facing due east. I'm going to go until I run out of space. Just a little bit past. Put another one. Now, I'm going to head back toward my base. I did not go as far as I would if I was doing this for real, because raids can happen for quite a ways. The visual circle that you get on your map when you're getting a raid is 64-meter radius, but the raid event area is actually 96-meter radius. So the raid spawns can happen anywhere within that 96-meter radius. And if you go out of that radius, then the timer pauses and will wait for you to come back. And when you come back, it will just continue on. Now, the enemies will spawn within 40 to 80 meters from where your player is, from where your character is. Right? So if I am standing at the edge of my property right here, this is where my spawn prevention ends. If I get raided while I'm right here, I'm still going to get mobs, because they can come from outside of this area. Even though it's that far away from my base, they're spawning based on my player location. Makes sense. Hi, Jarlax. How are you? Good to see you. A wispy. That's funny. I did the obsessive way once by placing spawn proofing every 18 meters exactly. It was deeply painful. Oh, good gracious, Erica. That's intense. That's not necessary. I like the raids, to be honest. Awesome, Sam. Then you don't got to do this. I mean, some people like the raids. I like the raids in certain situations. But I think that, well, first of all, if you don't like battling the raids, then you would want to do spawn proofing. Also, if you have a bunch of animals that you don't want to get killed, you probably could do with some spawn proofing. And if you have a really big fancy build that you don't want getting messed up by raids, especially depending on what level of raid you're at, then spawn proofing is definitely your friend. For sure. Okay, so I've come over one in my grid, and I'm going to head back towards my base and do the same thing. Now, I am inside a workbench area here, but it's one on the side grid. It's not on the line that I'm on right now, so I'm still going to put that down because I want them to be overlapping so there are no gaps. Watch my character and try to keep going straight. I'm going to keep doing this. I think I got a little bit closer here than I normally would be. Although that workbench in the building is not exactly in my grid either. Adele, I don't mind the raids, but not at the bases. Yeah, that's the deal. It's really about protecting bases for me most of the time. Because I mean, things like troll raids, seeker raids. Why do I have that there? Let's take that down so it doesn't throw me off. Those things can cause some serious damage to your bases. Okay. That's the one that I'm on right now, so I'm going to go just outside of it. I'm going very close to the shoreline too. Because although mobs won't spawn in deep water, I have seen them spawn in shallow water. So I recommend making it go out past the edge of the water line. And it doesn't really matter which way these workbenches are facing or anything, because I'm not going to leave them there. They're not going to remain as workbenches. We're going to make it look pretty. Okay, where was my line? Right here. So I'm going to go a little bit past. And I don't really measure how far past I'm going. I just like take a few steps, maybe 3 or 4 steps. You look at my grid on my mini map and keep going straight. Let's see how far I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 and a little bit in front of me. That's close enough. If I feel like I stretched it out a bit too much, I might just go back and make sure it overlaps. Yeah, it overlaps good there. So that's good. How far out did I go? I think I went out farther than this. Aim south again and go straight. Now I'll see I've gotten here. They're a little bit close on the side. That's perfectly fine. You want to have overlapping. And if I can't get it set flat, I'll flatten out the ground rather than going outside of my grid, because I want it to be where it's accurate. And I'll make it look pretty later. Campfires can be very useful, Whisper. We're going to talk about campfires too. Okay, so let's do one more row. Y'all are getting the idea, right? Let's go do east and see if I run into trees. If I run into trees and have to go around them, I try to get back on my original path. So I'm trying to keep my grid as stable as possible. As straight as possible. I mean, it doesn't have to be 100% correct, of course. But I try to keep it as close as I can, without driving myself crazy every 18 meters, like Erica did that time. Earth walls are a good possibility too. Depending on the size of your base, you may still need some spawn prevention inside though, because mobs and raids can spawn inside if you don't have mob proofing inside. Now, I see that little guy walked into my base. I'm going to address that here in a second. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way back up to the water line again. A little bit past. Add another one. A little bit past. You're gonna sit. Check it. And this goes right to the edge, but see right here, there's no workbench. I would put one. That's shallow enough water that it's possible that something could spawn in there. So I would add another one. Okay. Where'd that little jerk face go? Come here, jerk face. Quit messing with my boar. Die. Okay. Hey, Rosie, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome in. Welcome to the stream. Whisper, Adele and I have had raids. Whoops, you scrolled away. Have had raids at our little island. Apart from one bat raid, we haven't had any mobs spawn in or around our base. Well done. Good job. You must have good spawn prevention. You're working on a video, Rosie? I don't think I knew that. Just editing. Yeah, editing takes a long time. A long time. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. You've been working up to doing one for a year. Yeah, it took me a long time before I put my first video out. People kept telling me in the No Man's Sky community where I started, you know, do videos. And I was like, no. And when I put my first video out, I wouldn't even talk on it. I just said text. Okay, so this whole area is spawn prevented. Now, if I was doing this for real, I wouldn't stop here. Because of what just happened. That little guy walked in from the edge, right? So if I was doing this for real, I would keep going out on the side much farther than this. If any of you have seen my base that I have on Ravenheim Season 2 right now, my cottage that I'm building, as far as the eye can see, nothing will spawn. And that's because I went far enough out. So I would say, because enemies will spawn in up to 80 meters from a player. So what I do is at the edge of my base, I am typically going to go 80 to 100 meters past the edge of my base with spawn prevention. Because then, even if I'm standing at the very edge of my base, if I get something spawning in over there, it's past the edge of my base. If I get a raid, if my spawn prevention is 100 meters out, still nothing is going to spawn in. It's not even going to spawn like close enough that it could walk in. Because when mobs spawn in during a raid, they're automatically alerted and aggroed on you. And they can find you up to 200 meters. They'll hunt you down within up to 200 meters. But if they don't spawn in for 97 meters, 80 to 97 meters, if I cover that area, nothing is spawned in to be aggroed on me. Right? So then I'm perfectly safe. Hopefully that all makes sense. Have fun at work, Sam. I don't know how fun your work is, but try to have fun. As best as you can. Okay, so Christy, you really mean the mansion that you have contracted other ravens to build? You're funny. It's not a mansion. It is a cottage style cabin. It's not a tiny house, but it's not a mansion. It's only got, well, 4 bedrooms now. Yes, I did build the floor plan and the stone walls and the wood walls. I built all the walls and the foundation. And I'm doing the decorating. Magzag is theoretically going to decorate the Raven's guest room, but we'll see how that turns out. We'll see if she actually does it, for one. A cottage can be big, Whisper. Cottages don't have to be tiny. I've seen some pictures of cottages in England that are like big 2-story things, but they're still considered a cottage. I didn't say it was a tiny cottage. Y'all gotta give me grief. There are no stupid questions, Sarah. No. It's a very good question. I have heard this before. Does this spawn prevention also prevent animal spawns? Yes, it does. Yes. It'll prevent all spawns of mobs and animals, creatures in the wild. Now, it will not stop spawners. This is why Grey Dwarf farms work, even inside a base, or Draugr farms. So those spawners will continue doing their job if you want to have a farm. And yes, Whisper, tamed animals will still breed. Tamed animals don't count. That's true. Have you seen the cottage in the Yellowstone show? Huge. No. I haven't. I'm going to have to look that up and use it as proof that cottages can be huge. Was so tempted to do the redeem. Which one? What did I do? Hey, badass. How are you? Welcome in. Good to see you. How are you today? Badass. I'm copying you. Eat. Thank you, Adele. I think you might be lagged because I already ate. Okay, so now we have workbenches everywhere. If I was only gonna spawn prevent this small of an area, I would put either a moat or earth walls around it. You could do regular walls and it's fine, and there are ways to make them stronger and prettier. But if you want total protection, moats and earth walls are definitely the strongest. Earth walls are expensive though. It takes a lot of stone to do earth walls. It doesn't have to be super tall earth walls. Blobs and oozers can jump over most walls unless they're super tall, but they don't do any damage to buildings. However, they will kill your tamed animals if they get near them. And so a lot of time, and flying creatures too. That's why I usually put my tamed animals in a barn instead of having them just out in a pen, because that really protects them. And earth walls add a lot of lag to build heavy worlds and servers. I don't know that that's true anymore, Adele. They made a lot of changes in how terrain manipulation works, and it doesn't cause as much lag as it used to. I don't think that it really causes any significant lag. They will still add lag. I'm gonna have to look into that more. Okay, so here's one of the downfalls of workbenches. Workbenches are one of the items, like mini base items, that mobs will attack on site. And if you're doing an open design like this, and they break your workbenches, then your spawn protection is gone. And they can come in from the outside and start creating holes. Hey, Mystic. How are you? Welcome in. Good to see ya. Yeah, I'll have to look into the earth walls thing. I know that trenching down doesn't cause the lag that it did. It has been quite a while for that, but I'll have to look into the earth walls. Okay, so it would be nice to have our spawn prevention with something that A, doesn't look as ugly as having workbenches all over your base, and B, especially if you're doing the open concept, that the mobs don't just destroy as soon as they get near one that's on the outskirts. So there's multiple different ways that you can do this. You can do it in a way that makes spawn prevention pretty, and you can do it in ways that makes spawn prevention invisible, depending on what you want to do and where it is. Now, like I said, there's a lot of things that prevent spawns, and the list is in the description to this video. And so you'll find that a lot of those are just going to be in your base anyway. And so you won't have to worry about those areas. You're more going to be looking at, as you're building, how do you replace these, or how to just make them not visible at all. So my current favorite way to do this is with campfires. So I'll go around my entire base and I'll lay out my workbenches, and then I'll go back and I put a campfire right underneath it. If I aim to try to get totally underneath it, my campfire backs up. So I aim at the ground underneath, and I'll put a campfire there. So we'll run around and do these everywhere that I have a workbench. And eventually that fire would play out. I skipped a step. I apologize profusely. Before I would start putting workbenches down, campfires. After I get all my workbenches laid out, the first thing that I do is get out my wood pole and I run the entire length of the space again, just to make sure I don't have any gaps in coverage. This is the phase that I am on in Ravenheim right now. I have my workbenches out, and I've kind of run around with a pole, but not entirely. And you especially want to run in between the workbenches, because that's where the gaps usually happen. If you're going to have a little hole in coverage, it's going to be in between. Let me check inside the pins. Look at where the edges, look at where these go. Make sure where all the circles meet, that there's no holes in coverage in between. go in between this row. All the way back. I don't think I'm going to have any gaps. So that's good. A bunch of them cross over here. There's no gaps. So we're good. Always do that, double check. There's been times when I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely got it. And then I find a little hole somewhere. That little hole could mean a raid on your base. Okay, so if I want to make my spawn prevention invisible, let's go ahead and put our graphics back. So we can see what it's actually looking like. Hi, Jeremy. Welcome in. How are you? Give that like button some love, people. Thanks, Adele. I appreciate everyone supporting the stream and helping me to continue live streaming. I'm going to be doing... I've done some live streams that are more... discussion, tutorial, brainstorming of things, and I'm going to continue doing some more of those. People seem to like them. They do really well. So, I'm going to give the people what they want if I'm live streaming. Doesn't mean I'm not going to stream in Ravenheim anymore. I still am, but I'm going to be doing more of these as well. Okay, so both of these items stop spawn prevention, but mobs from the outside will attack a workbench. They will not attack a fireplace. Actually, they won't attack a fireplace, a bonfire, or either of the braziers. So all of those work and none of them get attacked. So I can now just delete that workbench. And I still have spawn prevention there. And I know it's still there because I did my double check. And there were no gaps in my coverage. Now I can just wait for this fire to burn out. And then it won't be real obvious just sitting there in the grass like that. However, if I walk over this fireplace 7 times, it will break. I've tried even if I put a little floor on top of it to kind of protect it. So I'm walking over the floor instead of the fireplace, or a big floor. Doesn't matter. The floor will stay, the fire will break. However, if I stand on a little bit higher ground, pull out my hoe. I don't have higher ground right here. Anything higher? Is this higher? This is higher. I'm gonna cover the campfire up. Now, the fire went out. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if the fire goes out. I still am getting spawn prevention from it, and I can walk over it as much as I like, and it won't break. It's perfectly fine. Over and over again. Then use my cultivator to put the grass back. And voila! Invisible spawn prevention. Can't even tell it's there. Let's do the same thing here. Stand on higher ground so it covers it up. Cover it with grass. still spawn prevented. And so definitely nothing's going to attack that. First of all, it won't attack fires. And second of all, it's underground. So it's completely safe. And you could do that for every workbench and never have to worry about seeing the spawn prevention in your entire base. I think that's probably my favorite one. However, I try to be a little bit careful about finishing that off before I'm done building the base. Because if I decide to build in one of these locations and I'm evening things out for a build and walking back and forth, getting ready to build, and I don't notice and break that, then that spawn prevention is gone. So I kind of like to be aware of where they are until I know that I'm done placing buildings in that area, just to make sure. I mean, chances are something in the build would have spawn prevention, probably. But in the meantime, if I only have wood pieces there, build pieces do not provide spawn prevention at all. And so during that time, if I get a raid, they're going to spawn inside my base because I have a gap in my coverage. Okay, what else? Okay, another item that I think is really good for spawn prevention. Oh, I kill you. I kill you. Kill you. Incomplete spawn prevention. Die. Die. Let's do it over here. Yeah, so another great item for spawn prevention is the standing wood torch. These have pros and cons. Pros because they're easy to build. They provide spawn prevention. They don't take up a lot of space. They're easy to hide. That's one of the best ones. Cons is that mobs will attack these just like a workbench. But because they're easy to hide, that can make all the difference. So, like if I was going to build a barn enclosure around these guys, I could integrate torches into the walls, and that would give me spawn prevention all around it, even if I didn't have any other spawn prevention for that building. And these are super easy to hide. I think one of the most easy and common ways to do it is with posts. You can use just a regular log pole. Just aiming at the ground puts it inside of it. If you get it really close to the edge, sometimes you can refuel it. But if you're just using it for spawn prevention, it doesn't matter because when the fire goes out, it's still going to be working for spawn prevention. Let's look at some other ways to hide them or make them look pretty. You can use the regular poles. Again, just point right at the edge of the ground where it pops over it. Job done. It's in there. Walls. You can just put it in the middle of the wall. Doesn't matter. It's still working. Total spawn prevention, even though you can't see anything. Dark wood. If you want something fancier. Really easy to do. Hi, Illusion. Welcome in. I like to clip the wood torches. Clip the wood torches, core wood poles to make them look like candles. Clip the wood torches, core wood poles. Oh, I got it. I got what you're saying. I was trying to figure it out. Yes. Yeah, so that's a way to start making it look pretty and decorative. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. You're gonna want the log pole to be a little bit lower. So one way to do it, say, well, you could raise it, you could raise the wood torch up, or you could move the core wood down. So let's raise the torch up first. So if I place that down, put this on top. Now, get my core wood. I'll place a core wood here, and you see it snaps right on there. So now it's in there. Obviously, if I was doing this for real, I would center that. And then I can take the little one out. And you can work with the spacing the way that you want it to be. And mobs will not attack that because they don't attack building pieces. And they see this and think, I can't get to that torch. So they leave it alone and they won't attack that. That's a good one. Rosie Girl, can you plant trees along your border and stick those inside the trees? Yes, you can. Yep. Yeah, if it's embedded in something, the game still registers it as being there. So that's another thing you can do. Even with a stone or a tree or anything. You can use the chair trick for one. So I can take a fine wood chair, put it just into the edge here. Now I sit in the chair, and when I stand up, nope, lying, scoot it closer. Let's go on this side. Put it in as far as we can. Come on. There you go. Okay, sit in the chair. I'm kind of looking down forward. Stand up. Now I'm inside the rock. It looks like I'm out in the world, but I'm inside the rock. Fun fact, mobs will not see you in here. Huge rocks and plains. It's a good place to have little travel bases. Like if I'm out in the plains collecting fine wood, I do my little travel portal inside the big rocks. As long as you don't aggro a lox to come and break the rock, then you're fine. Now I can put... Uh-oh, this rock may be too small. Because I can't get my build camera in here. Can I get it there? No, I think this rock is too small. Okay, you would need a bigger rock than that. Didn't I see an oak tree somewhere? Might have been somewhere else that I was at. Let's see. Spawn. Oak. 1. Okay, let's do it a tree. Let me turn my light on. Get my chair in there as far as I can. Sit down, look at the ground, stand up. Now I'm inside the tree. Plant my torch. Torch is in there. Can just walk right out. And now that is spawn prevented. And none of the mobs will get it. And that is definitely prettier than workbenches all over your base. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? Just not close to a Yagi fight, though. All right, Adele. I'm never going to live that down. Sorcery, right? It's magic. Yes, much better than workbenches everywhere. Hi, Charles. Thanks. Welcome in. Glad to have you here. Eat a little bit. So we'll probably need to do oak trees around my border then. I mean, oak trees are beautiful. If you have enough oak seeds, why can't I think of the word? Acorns, then yeah. Oak trees are a lovely way to do it. You use plains rocks for bases too, Sarah? Yeah, they're super handy. Illusion, the Heidi rock trick would be great for taming locks. Cool trick, that's true. Yep, and you're safe, and you can just sit in there and not aggro anyone or anything, and let them tame away. It's true, it's really true. Okay, let me see. What else was I going to say about hiding these suckers? Get a sip. My throat is like getting tired today. So I'm yakking so much. Ooh, bring me some coffee too, Adele. That sounds good. I think I might make me some more coffee after this. Got my Pepsi going at the moment. Oh, I remember something I was going to tell you about the torches. Okay, so there is something else genius about torches because although, see what I mean? That was a workbench. Although, why did I do that? They'll attack that too. It's not protected. Let's protect it. There, pretty. Although mobs won't spawn in deep water, I have seen them show up in shallow water before. And so if you want to be careful about the spawn prevention on your edges, I like to spawn prevent out over the water for a ways. For a little ways. No, really. Get up there. You can't put a workbench on the bottom of the water. You can't put a campfire on the bottom of the water. You can put torches on the bottom of the water. So if you want to make sure it's going out well over your edges, that's a really quick and easy way to make sure, especially in the plains where there's so many little sandbanks, you know, and the water just comes up here and there. If you could reach the bottom for building, you can reach the bottom for a torch. And so that definitely protects your edges out by the water as well. Get up. Go back over here. Another thing that's interesting about if you decide to embed torches into walls for spawn prevention, or maybe you just like the glow of it, because if I look at it at night, let me turn my headlamp off. It gives a kind of neat glow, right? So you could use that in a decorative way as well. But if it's completely embedded in the wall, ooh, save lag, you can't refill it unless you put it closer to the edge where it's sticking out a little bit, one side or the other. But you can kind of hide it inside walls. So you could do like a panel to it. Especially if you're like me and you do double walls. Sometimes I like to do if I don't want the bars showing on the outside. I can put it right at the edge. And cover it up with something else. Like this. So that way I'm getting a glowing effect, but if I want to open it and refill it, I can. And then I have a glowing wall. If you don't want the glow, just let it run out of fuel. No glow. What else was I going to mention? Do you guys have any other ways? Hi, Andrew Porter. Welcome in. Good to see you. I'm interested to know if y'all have any other ways of hiding spawn prevention so it's invisible completely, too. The trees are good. The rocks are good. Building parts are good. You can do underground. I mean, in addition to using the hoe to just cover up little campfires, you can dig holes and bury wards. It really, I think, needs to have the little top of the ward sticking out if you do that. Wards are magical too, speaking of sorcery. I'm going to assume no, but can torch be lit underwater? I don't think so, Charles. I think it goes out immediately when it's underwater. 10 wood. See? Broke something. How dare they? Yeah, see? It just stays there. But it still works. Okay, so wards and the magic of wards. If you want to use wards for spawn prevention, you can bury wards. It is true. Something else that you can do is can build up high, depending on the effect you're going for. How high you want it to be. Place a ward on top. Maybe also depending on how much protection you need at your base, depending on who you're playing with. And then can break that, but I can also break these. And my ward stays up there. So it's kind of a way of having it be sort of invisible. It's definitely not obvious when you're running around. But you can tell where they are. And if you really want to, you can let people in on them. It's fun. A lot of just like fun creative things to do with that, I think. Because it's magic. I'm good, Andrew. Thank you. Thank you. I'm having a good day. I'm having fun with this because I'm always doing spawn prevention for myself and for the ravens on Ravenheim. And then people always ask me about it. So I'm glad to get to talk about it. Matimo, welcome in. I place things under pathways and... Whoops, you scrolled away. And covered with stone, I also hide my extra workstation in rafter peaks. That's a good idea. Under pathways and covered with stone. Covered with stone, do you mean like the natural stones in the world? You hide them in there? Or like a stack of stone? Do you use that for decoration? Hi, Richard Devenizio. Welcome in. Can you show hiding a ward in a black marble cube or obelisk? Sure. Oh, thank you, Adele. I needed that coffee. Hello, Can. Welcome in. How are you? Good to see you, buddy. We're talking about fun and pretty and creative ways to hide mob proofing and spawn prevention, Can. Got any good ideas? Midnight, you do a good job of explaining all the tips and tricks in Valheim, like watching even though I don't play. Oh, thank you so much, Midnight Oil. That's so nice. I appreciate that. I try to be clear and to the point when I can. Okay, so hiding... a ward inside a black marble, what? Cube or... where'd it go? Black marble cube or obelisk. Okay. Let me, I'm not at one of my tutorial sites. Let me just flatten a little area over here. Hey, Jeremy! Chipping in to support and help out. Good stream. Thank you so much, Jeremy. I appreciate that greatly. Everybody give '07 salute to Jeremy. Means a lot. Help me keep streaming. Okay, where is sunshine? I mean, I suppose I could move the sun, but who wants to bother? Let's just flatten a little spot right here. What was that? It looked like I did a dipsy daisy move with my knees. That was weird. One thing I recently came across is an issue with spawn protection on servers. Really? I have not heard anything about that, but it kicks in later than other spawn proofing items in game. Ward spawn protection kicks in later than other spawn proofing items in game. When you have the warding, it would make sense that it kicks in a little bit later. I don't know. I have not heard anything about that, but you tend to play on a server that has a massive amount of people, so I think that you probably have more issues over there than the Happy Gamer server does. We're a more close-knit little community. Okay, so ward in black marble. Okay, so I would say put it or something next to where you want to cover up the ward. Aim at that piece. Get rid of this one. Now you have a ward in a black marble cube. And the obelisk. I assume that's what you were meaning. Let me know if that does not answer your question. Which one is the obelisk? Arch. Cornice. Plinth. Spire. What? Oh, that's what I was like. I don't see an obelisk. Built with the plants. That makes much more sense. So have the plants here. So let's say we're gonna do it on a building, right? So you might already have something like this down. Put it in the middle. Cover it up. That technique can be used in a lot of situations where you want something inside of something. And in like a lot of these, you can just place it there by pointing at the ground and moving it over. But if it's too big, if you have a snap point next to it enough that you can snap onto that, it'll cover it up. So that can be handy dandy. Cube trick, but flush with ground and with stone. Okay, TLDR. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? TLDR cube trick, but flush with ground and with stone. I'm brain glitching. I'm gonna blame it on streamer brain, but really I just don't know what that means. Oh, I see what you're saying, Cam. Yeah. So you may not want to do those, or maybe until they change it. I don't know. Hi, Galdr Odin. Hello there. Welcome in. Good to see you. Too long, didn't read. Oh. Whoops. Too long, didn't read cube trick, but flush with ground and with stone. I get that looks like a comment instead of a question there, so I think I'm gonna go with that. Okay. Let me think. I think that definitely covers the basics. It's not super hard to do. It's just, it can be a little bit tedious, especially if you're doing a large space. So it kind of depends on which technique you want to use. You know, you can always you can always do the moat like we talked about before. Erica, I do Odin wells for spawn prevention on my farm, which are just wards enclosed by an 8-side ring of beams, 3 high. Offset with 1 core wood, and then core wood removed so the rings float. That's nice. Yeah, there's a lot of creative things you can do with the wards floating, which that could get into a whole decorative video. You asked for a clarification of what I meant with stone for my hiding trick. My trick is dig a hole, place ward, and do the cube trick, but with stone instead, and make the top flush with the ground. I see. I'm sure that looks really nice too, and you can integrate that into a foundation or a walkway as well. That's cool. One more thing I did want to mention is edges near the water, not like the front edge, but like the end edge. Like I said, what I typically do now, especially if I'm not going to be doing a moat, is I go out so far, 100 meters, so that even if I'm standing at the edge of my base, if I get a raid, nothing will spawn in. And so nothing is going to walk in from the outside and get my buildings. I'm not as worried about them getting me. I'm more worried about them getting my buildings. Ha! My vicious side came out. Okay, get away. But if you're using a moat, then at some point you have to come to an edge where the water is, right? And when you come to that situation, if you have a moat, you're going to have things spawning on the other side of the moat, right? So if I had a moat here, Okay, imagine that goes all the way back. Here's the end of my moat. Things are still, if you don't have spawn prevention going far out, things are still gonna walk over here and swim or walk if they're a troll around into your base. Right? So you need something to protect the edge from them going around the end. Which is a bad place to show this because there's a big rock right there. Let me come over here. Where there's not a big rock. This'll work. What am I doing? I'm not looking at my direction. Meh, meh, meh. I don't like this one. Let's go this way. Got my direction on my mini map. Okay, I have a nice big long moat there. It goes all the way around my base. So, I don't want mobs from outside my base just walking or swimming around the edge into my base and destroying my buildings. And if you're near the Black Forest or you get a troll raid, then they can go quite a ways out. So what I do on the edges is I start with raising ground for an earth wall. And this is why too, if I'm going to do a moat, a lot of times I'll do the edge kind of far away from the house. I mean, you can make it look pretty-ish. This is at an angle to the ground too, so I'd have to go much farther, but I plan my base location for that kind of thing. The direction of it. I'm going to go as far with stone as I can. And I'm going to fall. Do it again. Nope, 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 nope. Get up there. Okay, because I'm going at an angle with the coast, I could do this for a really long time. But you would get until the water's deep enough that you can't raise the ground anymore. Y'all may have seen this at my tree house. I did this on that build. And then I would make it nice and flat and even. And then Christy, puncher of seagulls, drakes, and deer. Stop punching the wildlife. No, you can't make me. Yes, can. No, I play vanilla. I could not do that. Oh my god! Made me jump. It worked. I was literally just reading. I've been resisting hitting that. Mystic tried to get me too. Adele got me first. Oh my god. Oh my god!
No and
No!
then!
No!
And then,
No and then!
No!
No and then!
and
No!
then,
No and then!
and then,
No and then!
and then,
No, no and then!
and
Really, really starting to piss me off, lady.
And then... And then... I've gotten to where I do that to little man. And then he's like, stop it! Stop it, Mom! Entertaining myself, torturing my child. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. This isn't how I normally build out from it, so... Meh. Just go this way. Oh my gosh, who's excited about the update coming where it's so much easier to build over the water? I am. So excited. So, this is kind of assuming I'm out to a place far enough that I can't build out the earth wall anymore. And if I try to build... from the water, I'll sink. So I'll go out as far as I can. And then start planting holes. And make a blockade. Down into the water. Above and below. Because you don't want, when the water sinks, for them to be able to swim under the bottom one. Whoops. And then you can do this as long as you think it's necessary. You can make it look prettier than this example, of course. Can turn it into a nice pretty wall, which this one is not, but you get the idea. You can use stone, depending on how you could. But I do the earth wall first because it's going to provide me foundational support. And then you could do stone after that. That'll give you more support. And when you can't get there, then you can do core wood after that. Until you can't do that anymore. And then by the time you're done with that, you're probably good. Probably gonna keep the trolls out because you want to get it out far enough that mobs are not gonna see it as a viable option to swim around it, and trolls are not gonna see it as a viable option to walk around it. And it's been pretty effective. I tried doing it with shorter walls before. But those shaman and grey dwarfs, man, they can swim quite a ways out there. So I usually try to make it go pretty far out. Let's see, Andrew, waiting for keyboard and mouse support for Xbox Nightmare with controller getting the snap points. Oh no. Yeah, they're working a lot of little kinks and stuff out with Xbox, and that's part of what the update was today too. But I imagine it's gonna take them a little while to get it all shook out. That thing, shook out. Canarus, seekers just fly over. We need an electric fence. You're funny. Yeah, so that is another thing. Flying mobs. This is different from your coast protection. How do you do your coast protection? I'm curious. There are different designs that y'all use for the edges. Okay, flying mobs. If you have, like, that's what I was talking about too before. Like, if you have oozers and blobs, they can jump over these unless you make a super tall wall. They'll be able to jump over it. But they're not going to damage your base. But they will kill your tamed animals if they get a chance. Jerk faces that they are. Yeah, I worked really hard to get that grayling, didn't I? Okay, so flying mobs, this is about deciding what type of protection you're going to do at what point in the game, right? So if I am at a point in the game where I'm going to be having seekers seek me out, then I am going to be making sure that my spawn protection is going for 100 meters past the edge of my base. Because remember, 96 meters is how big the radius of an actual raid is. It only shows 64-meter radius on your map of where the raid is happening. But the actual raid zone is bigger than that. It's 96 meters. Now, the enemy will spawn in with 40 to 80 meters from your player. So that means that if I have spawn protection in this whole area, and I'm standing at the edge of my base, over here, say we did a moat. I have spawn protection on this side, but if I didn't do spawn prevention out past that moat, then seekers, for example, or bats, or drakes, or blobs or oozers can just come right in because they're going to be able to get over that wall. I mean, drakes and bats are going to be able to get over any wall, right? So that's why I am much more fond of... I used to dig moats all the time. But I'm much more a fan now of having my spawn prevention go out far enough that I don't have to worry about it. If I have spawn prevention 100 meters out from the edge of my base walls, then it doesn't matter where I'm at. Even if I'm standing at the very, very edge of my base region, I can get, they sought you out and nothing will appear. So I don't have to worry about any seekers flying over anything and coming and destroying my build because they're not going to spawn at all. Phantom Evil, big brain. Wow. That makes me think of, oh, what is it? Look at the big brain on Brad. What is that movie? Oh my gosh, come on. John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson. I cannot think of the name of it. What is it? Christy is the spawn protection expert. Is that a typo or is that you giving me grief, Can? Pulp Fiction. Thank you. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. See, everybody knows but me. Couldn't think of it. Matimo, I built a small ledge along the coast after putting earth wall out into the ocean. Water prevents ooze blob. Ledge prevents other mobs. I like your fence though. Could build off that. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Adele, is it Pulp Fiction? It wasn't just me. So many things are in my brain from that movie. It's just like stuck in my head so many times. Let me see. What is it? There was something else I was gonna say about that. About the flying raids. You think it's Pulp Fiction? No way to be sure, though. I know, right, Erica? It's hard to tell. Truly. Tamed animals. Tamed boars. Tamed wolves. Chickens. Build a barn, people. Build a barn. Just saying. Build a barn. Yeah, if you're not doing full spawn prevention and you have animals outside, when you get a Drake raid, they're dead. Every last one of them. Every last one of your tamed animals will be dead. So, I always, as I say this, I always keep my animals in a barn. As I say this, my animals on Ravenheim are not in a barn. They're not. However, I'm working on it. And I have spawn prevention. Nothing spawns in there at all. And we are not at a stage of the game where we're getting flying raids right now. Our next boss is going to be Bone Mass, and so Drakes are coming, which I'm looking forward to. Well, I say that because I get the freeze glands, but then I do full spawn prevention. So, yes, bats as well, Erica. Bats will definitely take out your pets and your livestock. I don't know who asked, but someone was asking about pretty spawn prevention. We touched on a few ideas and some natural things like putting torches in trees and rocks and making it look like candles hiding in walls. My favorite at the moment to make it look invisible. What? Twitch keeps trying to log me in, and I don't know why. I think it has something to do with my stream deck. I need to look at settings on that because it updated. My favorite right now of hiding, just making it completely invisible and having spawn prevention, is to put down a campfire. If y'all weren't here when I did this earlier. Campfires prevent spawns and mobs do not attack them. However, if you walk across it 7 times, it'll break. You can use a hoe just to cover it up. Stand on higher ground. Cover it up. It'll make the fire go out, but that doesn't matter. And then replace the grass. And voila! Completely invisible spawn protection. Build whatever you want. So yeah. lots of creative decorative things that we can get into, of course, and a lot of that just depends on your base, what your base looks like, and all that good fun stuff. So, thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. Those are definitely the basics and some details. And if you weren't here at the beginning and you have questions about how to get accurate coverage, go back to the beginning and check out how to do a grid and keep it completely sorry, I got distracted by Mystic talking about digging brains. Big brain prank. That's funny. Keeping it completely covered with no holes in the middle. And probably my next stream is going to be on Saturday. I'll be back in Ravenheim then. And that is always a good time. Gotta go check on basics. See if he's worked on my roof. Mr. Basic Builder. Thanks, guys. Until next time, happy gaming.